G'day everyone, this is a series on Tom Brady Unleashed. I hope you enjoy.
So let's go back to 2011. That's now we're almost to 2018, so it's like seven years ago. And it was in Washington, and the receiver in question was named Tyquan Underwood.
Yes.
Who lasted with the Patriots a grand total of 6 games that year. He caught 3 balls for 30 yards, and he ran the wrong route in the back of the end zone, which resulted in an end zone interception of one Tom Brady. So they go to the sideline, and how many quarterbacks in this league, back to Dan Marino, even John Elway, and I can certainly account for Troy Aikman because he could really get in receivers' faces. Every quarterback can get in receivers' faces. So for once, a young receiver named Tyquan Underwood, who was not going to last more than 6 games with the
Tom Brady didn't know that.
Yeah, he's in his face about you ran the wrong route. And Bill O'Brien, his coach, walks over to him, the coordinator who's on the sideline at that point, and tells him to back off. And Tom Brady, I call him Psycho Tom because he plays on hair trigger. He plays on razor's edge. He is extremely, almost crazy competitive. He goes off on his coach for telling him not to criticize a young receiver.
Right.
How many receivers in Tom Brady's career has he criticized publicly that you've known of?
I don't
Did he
know
do it to
any.
Randy Moss? Did he do it to Gronkowski? I can go back, I don't know, to Edelman. I don't know.
And you know what?
None.
You know what?
So thank you for bringing up that concept because yesterday Tom Brady is trotting off the field. He's 40 years of age. He has 5 Super Bowl championships, and he's played in 7. And Josh McDaniels has the audacity to say, "What are you doing?" He knows exactly what he didn't do.
Those last
He
two Super
missed
Bowls.
it.
Those last 2 Super Bowls.
He knew he missed it.
He missed
He knew
it.
he
And
missed
he also missed Philip Dorsett, who's just standing all alone on the sideline saying, "Throw it to me."
But Tom
And
didn't know he missed
Brady
him.
screwed up, and he knew it.
No, he didn't.
And he was furious with himself.
I agree with Skip. Brady was more angry at himself for missing the play than anything else. Josh McDaniels should have known this and just let him be. You know that's true when you got Eric Dickerson defending Brady and going against Shannon.
In the heat of the game, you know, when you're playing a football, and you know this, when you're playing a football game, I mean, I'll say, we played I'm on the Indianapolis coast. One of my offensive linemen run right by a linebacker. The linebacker gets me to the top of it. I'm like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
What are you doing? I mean, you're just frustrated. It's
On
like,
the field or on the
the
sideline?
field. I mean, I'm like, what are you? I'm walking to the sideline. What? Didn't you see him?
Yeah.
I didn't see him. He's 6'5", 255. You didn't see him. I mean, so it's just frustration. And I know when anytime someone yells at you, you have a tendency to go off and say something like, "I know I messed up." Tom knew he messed up.
Yeah.
It was just he missed the pass. And you know what? As great as he is, he's a perfectionist. That's what he is. And it's not going to be great all the time. And you can sit here and say that you've never yelled. The camera probably never caught you, but I'm sure you've went off.
I left out the clip of Shannon attacking Tom and saying that he's never gone off at a coach or a player on the field ever before, because that's just BS. And if you're a competitor, and Shannon Sharp really is a competitor, because in the heat of the moment, your emotions are running high. There's no way anyone who's highly competitive is able to restrain themselves for a whole career. I've only seen Brady lose it a handful of times, so when Shannon says he's never done it, well, in Australia, we have a saying for those people: you're either a or a liar.
You can add cliff jumper to Tom Brady's resume. He posted a video that ended up going viral to his Facebook page, and it had Patriots fans everywhere holding their breath. Vacationing with his family, we can see Brady's contemplation, and his wife Giselle asks if he's going to jump, and then he does take the leap from the mega high cliff into the water below. Among the reaction to his Facebook post were comments like, quote, "The best QB in history of the NFL needs to be tucked away safely in a padded room. No more of that, TB12.
I highly doubt anyone can stop Brady from jumping off cliffs. And I'm pretty sure if he wasn't restrained, he'd be doing a lot more dangerous daredevil things. That "aw shucks, nice guy" demeanor has nothing to do with how fearless he is. Brady isn't afraid of anything or anyone for that matter. Fearlessness and courage is in the mind. It's not walking around puffing your chest out and bullying people because you're bigger than them or there's more of you. That's not courage. That's actually cowardly. Courage is biting your tongue and being a good leader for 20 years. So you can be a good example for your teammates to follow. So your team can go to 9 Super Bowls in 20 years and win 6 of them.
For 20 years, Tom Brady had to live under the rule of and under the thumb of Coach Troll. Bill Belichick was the all-time dictator, tyrant, ogre, the most difficult coach, I believe, to play for that we've ever seen in the National Football League. But his quarterback swallowed it and let him get away with it. His quarterback, who was slowly but surely becoming the GOAT, sacrificed his, Tom Brady's ego for his, Bill Belichick's, huge ego. And Shannon, I think it was harder than anybody knew on Tom Brady, but he knew he had to do it for the greater good of the team. He had to tell everybody in the locker room, it's okay, it's just the way he is. You just got to take the abuse, because in the end, we're going to win because of the discipline and dedication and the structure and the culture and all those hard things to live with that even Gronkowski is so happy to be free of. As long as the quarterback bought into it for 20 years, great things were going to happen. Obviously, 9 Super Bowls in 20 years happened. 6 wins in Super Bowls happened. And yet, the first thing Chad Johnson told me, a guy I've been close to for a long time, when he went to the Patriots in 2011, he was shocked. The first day of camp, they had a full team film session in which Bill Belichick threw in the tape of the previous year's playoff loss at home to the Jets. I don't know if you remember, 2010 ended with Tom Brady losing to Rex Ryan and Mark Sanchez. It was 28-21. Brady threw for 300. He played okay, but they got their butts kicked. And Chad Johnson said he was in awe that immediately Bill Belichick started to remount the quarterback, Tom Brady. He went after him with that sarcastic ridicule that Belichick is so good at. And then practice started, and Chad told me he didn't let up on him. Practices, camp practices, he's all over number 12. And number 12 took it because number 12's father always taught him growing up in San Mateo, California, you have to honor and obey your head coach. So Tommy was always a good boy for Bill Belichick, but after a while it started to eat him up. And then we've talked for hours about what happened. In 2017, Brady woke up and realized that guy that he sacrificed for is trying to push him out the back door in favor of Jimmy G. And then that 2017 Super Bowl happened, the Eagles happened, Philly special happened, and Tom Brady woke up the next day and thought, I threw for 505, I scored 33, we gave up 41 because my friend Malcolm Butler spent the whole day on the bench after he played the most snaps of any defensive player during the regular season. And Brady just couldn't take it anymore. And I think he did feel like he got sabotaged in that Super Bowl. So remember, a month or so later, Tom's out here in Santa Monica at a business conference, and it was a paid gig, but Jim Gray interviewed him, and Jim Gray does a great job of interviewing and getting the most out of Tom Brady. And he asked Brady,
and obviously in any relationship, particularly one that's been successful and had such a long run, whether it's a friendship, a marriage, a working environment, there's going to have peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
And so when Giselle says feel appreciated, this brings to mind Coach Belichick and Mr. Kraft. Do you feel appreciated by them, and do they have the appropriate gratitude for what you have achieved?
I plead the fifth. Look, man, that is a tough question. Yeah, I mean,
your wife seems to indicate.
Yeah. I think everybody in general wants to be appreciated more at work, in their professional life.
and then Jim Gray said, are you happy? And he said, I have my moments. What? Those were the first shots fired from Tom Brady at the coach he was supposed to honor and obey. And it was a ticking time bomb from that point forward. So, Shannon, to me, what we're seeing now is this is like an 18-year-old kid who finally broke free from, a horribly strict father. And he got to go away to college. And he's out in college. He's on his own now. And he is flexing his goatish muscles. He's feeling his social oats. He's enjoying the fruits of being the GOAT all of a sudden. And he's going social media wild. He is. It's straight up lame most of the time. And yet he is showing you his other side. I get that. But I'm happy for him because he's finally saying, I'm free. It's like he's on extended spring break in Tampa. And it's fun to watch. He's found his happiness. He's riding a wave in Tampa Bay. He's posting all over Twitter and Instagram. And again, I hope it's not to the detriment of preparing to play football, but I don't think it is, Shannon. I'm happy for him because I think this man paid prices that we have no idea how severe they were for 20 years under Coach Troll. 4 out of 5 years in Cleveland, Belichick had a losing record, and he got fired. He went 5-11 his first year in New England with Drew Bledsoe at quarterback, and then he started the next year 0-2, and Tom Brady fell out of heaven into his lap. I'm sorry, I don't know what Belichick did to earn the right to ridicule Tom Brady. He got away with it because Tom Brady let him. Not for 1 year or two, but for 20 years, he let him get away with all that ridicule and sarcasm for the greater good of winning championships. And it worked. But trust me, Brady knew from the start he was 75% of what was right about the Patriots to about 25% of the credit that went to Coach Belichick.
Some of these guys may want to talk about football, but I want to ask you about this video that's making the rounds on Twitter. Walking out of a massage parlor with a big grin on your face. What were you thinking?
That's not what that was about. I think that was taken out of context, just like you're taking it out of context and trying to make it a story for yourself, which has a negative connotation to it, which I don't appreciate. It was meant to be something different than that. So the fact that it's a distraction or you're bringing it up is not something I want to be talking about.
So it's not just me. I mean, the USA Today, which is pretty mainstream, says Patriots QB Tom Brady spoofs Robert Kraft with a cameo at massage parlor. So I mean, it's not just me.
I think it's just again. I think it's this type of media atmosphere that you create. The blame and shame media atmosphere that's kind of percolated for a while. I think there's a lot of things that are said that are taken out of context that you choose to make a headline of, as opposed to understand what it's actually about. Have you seen it?
I've seen this. I understand the background of it, and I understand the context. Yes, I have.
You see it?
I've seen the context.
And that's what it was about.
No, I know that it wasn't.
Okay, so it wasn't about that, except you want to try to use something and use it as to take it out of context. Is that what you choose to do in the media?
When did you shoot it? Could you not know?
That's what we do try to do.
If you shot it in the last year, though, wouldn't you know that it might be construed that way?
No, it was shot on a green screen. It was agreed to a year ago. It was written 4 years ago, and I think, again, it's unfortunate that people would choose to think I would ever do something like that about Mr. Kraft, or I think that's a very just a very bad assessment of my relationship with him. I would never do that.
Since it came out, have you explained that to him or gotten the word out?
I think everybody knows what our relationship's about. For 20 years, it's nothing but love and respect. Been through a lot of tough things with him, and I love him dearly. I sympathize with a lot of things that he's gone through in his life.
We're talking about the GOAT here, who took it just so he could keep Bill Belichick afloat in the locker room. If Tom Brady had mutinied and rebelled from, let's say, starting in the second year, after they won their second Super Bowl against Carolina, if Tom Brady had finally stood up and said, I'm not going to take that anymore from you because I'm the reason you are you right now, it would have been over for the Patriots, and Tom Brady knew that. He was the reason they were winning Super Bowls. You made my case, and I appreciate you bringing that up. They won 6 Super Bowls because he pulled off 6 fourth-quarter game-winning drives. That's impossibly great. You can't buy that. You can't coach that. You can't create that in a coaching lab. He did it by himself for Bill Belichick, and then he allowed Bill Belichick to shame him in front of the team for the sake of the team, because he knew Belichick was trying to send a message to everybody down that roster. I'm going to do it to the top guy, and I'm going to do it to the bottom guy because I am effing Bill Belichick, and if you don't like it, hit the door. And he could get away with saying hit the door because he had the greatest quarterback who ever played, who camouflaged all of the bad decisions that Bill Belichick made picking players. He made a bunch of bad decisions, and it just didn't matter. He could pick whatever Steve Kerr or Will Perdue or Scotty Burrell he wanted to and mix and match them because he had Michael Jordan. That's why. And Michael Jordan wasn't shaming and ridiculing everybody. He was saying, yes, sir, Coach Belichick. Yes, whatever you say, sir. It's unheard of. No other quarterback today would take that. Can you imagine what Cam Newton, everybody's talking about? How about Cam Newton to Bill Belichick? Baloney. It wouldn't last an hour. Cam Newton would say, you're talking to me like that?
Whoa.
You think Drew Brees would put up with that? Do you think any other of the great quarterbacks we've seen in this league, there's no way anybody would have put up with what Tom Brady put up with?
I, for one, am glad we get to see another side of Brady since leaving the Pats. I absolutely love it. Anyhow, I'll post more videos of Tom Brady Unleashed, so please subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you for watching.